time. Speak easy from Eddie Hernandez. Robbie Eagles, as he gets to open up here in the bowl against Kenny Omega, captain of Team Canada. And Omega, could he be looking? Oh my God. Omega might have been thinking to go for the one-winged angel. Robbie Eagles fast enough to get out of it. That was not something that I had game planned for. It was just, you know, I was able to get him in the corner here. This is going to be the most powerful pulse drop I have ever hit. With the pulse drop, Robbie Eagles out of the corner. Pulse drop, and Eagles has just upset Kenny Omega. One of the most improbable wins I have ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to come to you early before the action starts today because we have breaking news. Robbie Eagles, the man who turned everything around for Australia, the biggest upset of the first round of matches, is out today. It was confirmed by Captain Jay White. Robbie Eagles is not competing against the United States. I don't know what the hell's going on over there with Team Australia. It would obviously mean that Jay White is competing today for Australia, but where is Robbie Eagles? What is the deal? What could actually be happening here behind the scenes? There's been no indication that it's an injury sustained during his match with Omega. Throughout the night, we will try to get you words with both Jay White and Robbie Eagles, but for right now, that throws an entire wrench in the plans for Team Australia. So we got to get to the first match now for a Robbie Eagle-less Australia against Lancelot and the United States.
I'm all ready. I'm battle tested. This is the story of a fighter who's got nothing to lose. Battle tested.
Talk about absolutely breaking news. We will keep you updated throughout the course of the night. I can only imagine what could have happened to Robbie Eagles to force him out of competition. I mean, no one in this sport is ever fully healthy, but what injury could possibly have forced Robbie Eagles out? I don't know. We have all of our reporters working overtime here, so hopefully one of them will be able to track down the source of why Eagles is missing tonight. So that puts Australia at a massive disadvantage with no Eagles. So it will be Bronson Reed. Australia is the home team. They got to select opponents tonight. Lancelot was in for the US. It's Bronson Reed for Australia.
Feel like I'm king of the pirates, give me the choice and I'm choosing the violence. I don't give a fuck if you like it, all of this bloodshed, it get me excited. People are blinging their diamonds, look at me wrong and I'm pulling the iron. Your life is nothing to a tyrant, so we don't leave any survivors.
I ain't slept a day in my life, tunnel vision my sight, only thing that I like, how I'm living my life. Generation 2 light, bet Luffy won't fight, I'ma get his ass right, never fruit gets white, whole crew get white, nigga Robert too fine, probably making my side, stay along for the ride, last tail on the rise, no shit, no surprise, and another light eye, I might send parts of my faction to go wreak some havoc, sit back and just
This is exactly what I was hoping to see at some point during this tournament. Lancelot coming out here at the bowl, the most legendary underground wrestler in the world, representing the United States, coming off of a massive win over Kurt Andrews last week. That win helped jumpstart the United States to their 6-point performance, good for second in the group now, taking on Group A's number 1 in Australia, who again is down their top performer from last week. No disrespect to the Mighty Don't Kneel and what they were able to do against Edge and Christian. But Robbie Eagles was the story. He will not be competing tonight. Lancelot has the opportunity to start the United States off with as many as 5 points against Bronson Reed. Here we go. Just pandemonium and an RTD to start off with. Reed able to defend it. Lancelot did that very same thing against Kurt Andrews last week. That was, of course, in the Dusty Rhodes Memorial. You got 50,000 people watching you now as Bronson Reed using this incredible strength We saw Reed go hell for leather against another underground wrestler in Canada's first, Australia's first matchup, rather. It was against Canada, and it was Braddock as Reed going in for the rear naked choke. Great takedown early on, but Lancelot able to free himself. You're not going to be able to do a whole lot that's going to surprise Lancelot coming out of the underground. Look at this, pops him up. Into the punch, follows it up with a standing shooting star. That's exactly what I mean. That's what he does, and now he's gonna take to the skies! A very pro-American crowd here. Oh my God, Lancelot. Look at this, daring Bronson Reed to come at him. He's literally playing dead, is Lancelot. And Bronson Reed just shoving him. Reed gonna repay that in kind as Lancelot gets to his feet. Roundhouse kick ducked by Reed. And now body slam onto the concrete. But again, this is something that Lancelot is used to. Another one. When you're in the underground, you gotta deal with things like this. Now Reed going for it again. Reed, Samoan drop on the outside. My God. Bronson Reed stands him up. Now Reed will run into the ring. Lancelot will follow. Lancelot wants to do this on his terms, and he runs right into a Samoa drop. Bronson Reed has ran him over, and if he gets the pin here, it'll be an extra point. No! We would have had to go to official review, but that would have tucked in under the 2-minute mark. Now Reed just lighting him up in the corner. And a lot of the rust that we were expecting to see on Lancelot last week when he fought Andrews wasn't there. Could we be seeing that now? Lancelot hasn't been in a match since Battle at Broadway last season when he fought for the Raw Championship in the main event. We didn't see any rust against Andrews. Now, what a kick. Backs Reed up into the corner. Lancelot, snap bear, what a drop kick. I've never seen that before from Lancelot. That's the versatility from the American, but it's only a 1 count as the massive Bronson Reed, so strong. And it's very interesting that Australia decided to match him up with Lancelot, considering that Reed lost to an underground wrestler last time out. So you think that maybe they match him up against Bryan Danielson, but no. They liked it. They liked the matchup. They're not going to like this so much. Lancelot into the King Arthur's blessing. They don't like that because he's got the S grip and he's wrenching it back. Bronson Reed goes right after the hands, catches him, and Reed manages to escape. I don't know who came out better out of that, but Lancelot, big time right now. Lancelot gets him down on one knee, and Lancelot with the drive-by knee straight into the temple. He did the same thing to Kurt Andrews. Lancelot, that's 3 points. And for the second time in as many weeks, Bronson Reed goes down at the hands of an underground wrestler, and I have to question the matchup here by Australia. Why did they pick Bronson Reed for this when you could easily have put him against Bryan Danielson? Not that that's an enviable matchup by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly one that's more favorable to Reed in terms of size. Instead, they put him in against Lancelot, and they pay 3 points for the Americans to start out with, and the U.S. are undefeated in singles matches so far. We'll see a big one coming up because we know it'll be Danielson versus Jay White in the prime time of this particular matchup. But first, we got to go to our reporter, Byron Saxton, who has some news regarding Robbie Eagles. Byron. Yeah, thank you, Griff. Our whole team has been working overtime to try to figure out what's going on here. One thing I can tell you, Australia team captain Jay White has refused to comment to anyone. Not anyone from Australia, not anyone from the U.S., not anyone here in Orlando. It has been tight-lipped from Jay White. What we do know, though, Robbie Eagles has been sent home. He is not here at the arena, so we're trying to get in contact with him as he has been sent back to Australia's team facilities here at the World Wrestling Center. Now, I can tell you this is just speculation from people around Team Australia and around their camp, but what I'm hearing is that Robbie Eagles had not sustained an injury against Kenny Omega. He had cleared his post-match physical after last week when he left the ring. So either something happened physically to Robbie Eagles in between that and tonight, or it's a non-injury related decision that I'm told Jay White made himself. Now, Robbie Eagles did have a match in Japan in between these two contests, so I suppose it's possible that something did happen, but when Eagles reported back to the Australia camp following his trip to Japan, they also gave him a clean bill of health, so it certainly seems unlikely. Griff, we're going to continue to work on this, but for right now, we'll send you back to the Dusty Rhodes Memorial, and we have a tag team match. Thoughts are starting to creep in. I'm hearing Byron telling us that it's not an injury, and I'm thinking, did Jay White do something here? Folks, I don't know, but things are starting to look a little weird around Team Australia right now. And so Bronson Reed goes to 0-2 against Lancelot. The mighty O'Neal, who picked up a gigantic win over Edge and Christian last time out, they have their hands full once again, dealing with one of the most influential tag teams in the world. The Young Bucks are going to be looking to avenge a bitter loss from their last time out. They opened the Wrestling World Cup. They were in a position that no one else has ever been in or will ever be in again, opening the first ever Wrestling World Cup, and they lost to Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay. They are going to want to rectify that, and they know that they smell blood in the water right now. Something is not right with Team Australia. The Young Bucks can take advantage. Nick Jackson in for the Bucks. It'll be Shane Thorne starting out for TMDK. And Thorne starts out confidently, but he and Nick Miller look anything but right now as they were getting ready on that apron. I'm telling you, folks, there's something going on within the ranks of Team Australia, and I just hope that Byron Saxton can figure it out for us. So hopefully he can contact Robbie Eagles some way, because we need to know what's going on here. Meanwhile, it's a good start for Shane Thorne. Here comes Nick Miller and Nick Jackson. Nick Jackson defending up, nice rolling soul butt. Jackson striking combination stopped short by the man in blue, and TMDK had such a great showing against Edge and Christian, a team that had the entire crowd backing them over in the bowl. A team that was returning to action for the first time in 10 years, and Nick Miller going after Matt Jackson. His strike caught right into Nick Jackson, who goes low. Miller able to step out of the way just in time. The Young Bucks might have had a quick finish right there. From what we've seen from our tag team matches, I would highly doubt that one of these is going to go under 2, but that might be exactly what the Bucks need to make it. Big pile driver from Nick. Remember, 5 points on the line. The U.S., after Lancelot's win, has officially taken the lead. 9 points for the United States. Australia has 8. We will see the rest of Group B later today as Team UK battles Canada. That's going to be an incredible match, and I can confirm that we will see a different lineup for Team United Kingdom. Their tag team is going to be different. It will not be Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay, despite their win in the opening match last time out. Tag in, here comes Thorne. It is actually going to be the team of Finn Balor and Kurt Andrews. What an interesting matchup for Team UK, and hopefully we'll be able to shed some light on that as we get closer to that matchup. They will be battling Canada, who is desperate for a result there. Shining Wizard from Thorne, and Nick Jackson jumps, tags in Matt. He needed that badly. Here comes Thorne, his Hurricane Rana attempt, countered by Matt, just in the corner. And Jackson will Irish whip him across. It seems like Matt Jackson might have been wanting that, but Thorne snuck up on him with that knee. Now Thorne letting Matt know, hey, you don't taunt in front of me, eat that DDT. Matt legal in the match for the first time, the freshest man, or at least he was. This 5 points, if Australia can secure it, they would almost certainly still be in first place at the end of this, regardless of how the final singles match goes. It will be Jay White against Bryan Danielson from Team USA. So it's going to be very interesting. Snap suplex, Matt Jackson crawling into his corner, and he'll get the tag in from brother Nick. And Nick with a roundhouse kick as Shane Thorne walked right into it. Nick Jackson straight into the cover, only a 2. And a miscommunication over there from Nick Miller because he did not get in to try to break that thing up. Now we're seeing Team Australia. They are not firing on all cylinders as they were last week against Canada. Now Nick Jackson has Shane Thorne tied up in the ropes, and Jackson will go to work on the lower back, backstabber. And Thorne falls right back into the ring, straight in range. Nick Jackson going to work on Shane Thorne. Upward knee, but Jackson walks straight into that boot from Thorne. Thorne looking for a power bomb, and Jackson was too quick for him, levels in with the right. Jackson will take the opportunity to tag in Matt, fresh on the apron. Thorne just now moving, and he'll need to tag in pretty quickly here. Matt's going to stop him. Now Jackson going after the leg, and the Young Bucks have isolated Shane Thorne. A much different strategy than what we saw from the Bucks last time out against UK. The Young Bucks averaged a tag out every 93 seconds in that match. In this match, they've only had 3 so far in about 5 minutes of action. Much better average for them, but there's the assisted shoulder tackle from TMDK. We saw them do that against Edge and Christian as well. Miller's got Jackson up, and Jackson using that world-class reversal rate that he possesses. In his time in GAW, Matt Jackson, both as a singles competitor and as a tag competitor, has the second best reversal rate on all of Storm. Flatliner and Nick Miller going outside. Jackson locks up with him, and Nick Jackson was there as well. Right hand from Nick. Miller catches the boot, turns him around. Miller going after Jackson into the abdominal stretch on the outside. Nothing Matt Jackson could do because the referee caught the 2 of them getting into it earlier, so Nick Jackson just has to do that. What a head scissor. Follows it up with a boot, but Miller stays on his feet. Now a striking combination from the Australian to the boos of the crowd. A single underhook suplex, and Nick Miller kind of playing with fire here as the referee's count is already at 7. Knife edge chop ducked, and Nick Jackson will send him into the barricade. Jackson needs to get back into the ring, and he does. Jackson going after Thorne with this spear. Nick Miller getting into the ring, but he walks straight into the waiting arms of Nick Jackson. Pile driver. What a job by Nick Jackson. Now Miller going to the outside again. Jackson was going to follow him out there. Now Nick Jackson. Miller was going after Matt Jackson. Matt was able to play defense. Nick Jackson seeing what's happening. Nick will get back into the ring, and he's flattened by a lariat from Miller. There's Shane Thorne. Miller elects not to take the tag in. Another miscommunication from Team Australia. And it allows Nick Jackson to line up the standing moonsault press. Not where you want to be if you are Australia. Nick Miller has to stay away from the Young Buck corner. He knows it. Right hand caught, countered. That right hand caught, countered. Now Miller Boot to the gut. Miller thinking suplex maybe. He's got him up high. Stalling brain buster. Miller pitched him forward. And this is TMDK's best opportunity. Matt Jackson was there. What a massive brain buster from Nick Miller. Shane Thorne sends Matt Jackson out of the ring. Very smart because Nick Jackson has already regained the momentum here on Miller. Jackson just grinding the neck. Miller able to throw him off, but Jackson goes straight back into the cover. Shane Thorne, he was slow. Jackson had done so much damage. He was cranking that neck. That could have done it right there. Miller again rolling out. This time Jackson will pursue. Step up into the tope from Nick Jackson. The Young Bucks are active. They're taking to the skies. They're tagging in less. It's a complete strategic overhaul from the Young Bucks after a bitter loss against Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. Miller needs to dive in and tag Shane Thorne. He does. Nick Miller rolls out. Shane Thorne waxes Nick Jackson with that knee strike, but Matt Jackson is there. The speed to break up that cover, and Thorne step up Hurricane Rana attempt. Miss Jackson. Now he'll go for a straight right on Matt. Cheap shot as Matt was on the apron. Thorne will turn his attention right back to Nick Jackson, thinking power bomb again. Shane Thorne this time is able to get him with that power bomb. Matt Jackson is there and uncorks a right leg straight into Thorne. Thorne, I think, is a little bit dazed, but he's going to go up top. We saw what he did against Christian. It won the match for TMDK. The Phoenix Splash and set. Thorne with the senton. And this is a heroic performance from Shane Thorne. He's working 2-on-1. Thorne now thinking again. Thorne, Phoenix Splash. Finished off Christian last time as well. Matt Jackson's got to be there, and he is. Matt Jackson saving U.S. hopes here. Again, 5 points for Australia would give them 13. It would mean that the United States would have to get at least 4 out of their next match to tie for first going into the final group stage match. Now, it is certainly possible. You're talking about Bryan Danielson. If there's anyone who's waiting to get that extra point for a submission, it is Danielson. Only Samoa Joe has gotten a submission win so far. Shane Thorne, dirty play to go low off that Manhattan drop. Matt Jackson was there to break things up, but Nick Miller jettisons him from the ring, and Shane Thorne is absolutely taken over here against Nick Jackson, but he fans on that right hand, and Jackson with the snap suplex. Nick Jackson takes back over. Standing moonsault. Thorne moved out of the way. Now Thorne back up. Thorne looking for a knee strike, and it misses. Caught with the right hand by Jackson. Still no sign of Matt Jackson or Nick Miller. They're still battling on the outside as Nick Jackson cranking the neck of Shane Thorne. There is Nick Miller back onto the apron. No sign of Matt Jackson yet. Again, just a totally different strategic decision-making process here for the Young Bucks. And you gotta like it. You have to like seeing it because of what happened last week against Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. And now they're facing a much more experienced tag team. Shane Thorne going up top. Matt Jackson. Jackson trying to do anything he can, but Thorne lands the Phoenix Splash anyway. Fought through it from Matt Jackson, and thankfully Jackson was there to break up the pinfall. Now Jackson and Miller getting into it once again. This has been very much a Shane Thorne versus Nick Jackson sort of match here. Matt Jackson and Nick Miller going at it on the outside. Nick Jackson using the ropes for support, but able to catch Shane Thorne coming in with that attack, and Jackson with the flatliner. Thorne, I think, caught his head on the bottom rope as he went down. And Nick Jackson looks like he's gonna have to do this by himself. Matt has freed something up against Nick Miller, and Nick Jackson will go into the cover straight off. 2 count for Nick. Matt's return to the apron. Nick Miller trying to make his way over, but Shane Thorne's in a bad position. He is in very unfriendly territory. The Young Bucks are making this match a grind fest, and I like it. What you're doing is you're challenging the mighty Don't Kneel, who we know are having issues right now within the Team Australia camp. Shane Thorne trying to roll away, but he's caught. 450 by Nick Jackson into the cover. Nick Miller was there. My goodness. Now Miller and Matt once again renewing hostilities, and again leaving Nick Jackson and Shane Thorne in the middle of the ring. Thorne, boot to the gut. Thorne once again. Powerbomb position. Shane Thorne got him. Shane Thorne with the powerbomb. He can rescue it for Australia. He did. The mighty Don't Kneel. Despite all of the odds, TMDK have just rescued 5 points for Australia, and in all likelihood, Australia will still be in first place when this night is over. Unbelievable. What a performance from TMDK. Despite everything going on, Shane Thorne and Nick Miller have done it again. They've beaten 2 of the most influential tag teams in the history of our sport. TMDK have won 10 points for Australia in 2 matches. Absolutely crucial. But can the U.S. respond? We're taking you straight back to the bowl where it's captain on captain violence. Listen to the chorus of boos for Team Australia's team captain, Jay White. And deservedly so, because if the rampantly growing speculation is correct, Jay White had something to do with Robbie Eagles not being here, and could things have been different if Robbie Eagles was active? Look, we can speculate until we're blue in the face. All we know is TMDK just rescued 5 points for Team Australia in an absolutely epic performance, and Jay White has the opportunity to, for all intents and purposes, clinch Australia's spot in the semifinals here. If they collect another 3 points, you're talking about very probably Australia moving on to the next round, but that is a huge if. Last week, 50,000 people watched Bryan Danielson take down Team UK's captain, Drew McIntyre. 50,000 people watched as the United States at that time took control of first place in Group A on the first night of World Cup competition. Well, now they watch as the U.S. tries to keep pace. That's exactly what Bryan Danielson needs to do here against Jay White. Anything could happen next. Team UK and Canada. We don't know how those 2 teams are going to respond from 2 losses last week. So everything is still in flux. I can't wait for this. I cannot wait for this match. This could decide the fate of Team USA. But I think that's exactly where Bryan Danielson wants to be. Here we go, prime time in US versus Australia. And Jay White will be the first man out of the gate. Uppercut into the corner, and White again. White with his trademark brutal offense. He stays on top. He high offensive percentage guy in Jay White, who is coming off of a win over Kofi Kingston on Storm this past Friday. So Jay White has a little bit of momentum, but obviously so does Bryan Danielson. Danielson's had a week of rest and a week to prepare, but he didn't know that Jay White was going to be his opponent until yesterday. So it's interesting. I would like to talk to Danielson at some point about what it's like to, you know, go through camp and get yourself ready, but not actually know your opponent until 48 hours before you have to fight him. Or 24 hours, I guess, before you have to fight him. And Jay White again, going after the eyes. It's typical Jay White. He knows exactly where the referee is. Referee had his back turned. White went for the eyes, but Danielson able to get off. And now Danielson with the German suplex. White avoided the first one. No such luck here against Danielson. Still nothing major from our reporters regarding the Robbie Eagles situation. Obviously, Jay White being very tight-lipped about everything, which is not really the way a team captain should be conducting themselves, but that's what we get. Jay White did something to the Australian Wrestling Federation to allow, to make them, or have them allow him to be captain. He's not even from Australia, so I really don't know how this whole thing sort of panned out for Jay White. Danielson with a big drop kick sends him off the apron. All I do know is Jay White is the most unpopular man in this building, and Bryan Danielson fighting to keep pace for Team USA. Again, we don't know what's coming up next, so this is about as needed of a win as you can imagine. And Danielson straight into the cattle mutilation for Bryan Danielson. Jay White, great core strength from White to actually roll it over. Almost everyone, when they're locked in that, has to free an arm. Jay White just rolls it over. Phenomenal job, and he bounces Danielson off the top. White going after the leg, and he's got to celebrate. Of course he does. So typical, but Danielson, tremendous fighter off the ground, but he walked right into a boot from White, and White again going after the eyes, and the ref didn't see it, so White will send him to the outside. No warning from the referee. So you still have that bullet in the chamber, because as far as the referee's concerned, White hasn't done anything wrong. Danielson will get back into the ring. Jay White will go after a low drop kick. Danielson very well defended from Bryan Danielson, and straight into the cover. Danielson was trying to surprise him. If you're Jay White, that very possibly could have been a mistake to try to jump on Danielson there, because we know what happened the last time someone tried to do it. Drew McIntyre ate a Busaiku knee off the ropes and took the loss. Now Danielson, to the very, very approving cheers of the crowd, going to the ground and pound, but he's taken down from White. Danielson rolls out of the way, but he eats a knife-edge chop from the Australian, quote-unquote. Danielson, knife-edge chops, 3 of them in response, and Danielson finishes it off with a brain buster. Now Jay White will roll out of the ring. Bryan Danielson in pursuit, tope suicida. You don't always see Danielson taking risks like that, but Danielson knows when he has someone on the back foot, and he most certainly does. Jay White, despite all of the normal underhanded tactics that he employs, right now is on the back foot, and he's got to respond. Team USA would remain second with 12 points. If Danielson gets the submission victory here, that would give Team USA 13 points. They would hold the tiebreaker over Australia and would put them in first place. Now White going around the stairs, and Bryan Danielson, so fast, Danielson jumped on him on the outside. Danielson hyper aggressive, and he should be. sends White back in. And Bryan Danielson loving it right now. Very smart from Jay White to stay down. Don't let Danielson hit you with that psycho knee. Instead, Danielson goes for the elbow drop. And now White could be in some trouble because Bryan Danielson goes for the triangle choke. It's about the 78th different submission that Danielson has used during this World Cup, and White is in a bad position. Danielson's got that arm. Jay White, look at the strength from White with the power bomb. Never underestimate Jay White's core strength. And Danielson feeling it in the back. White piles on with the low drop kick. White boots in the gut, caught. Danielson has him staggered against the ropes. And Danielson again going after the lower back. What do you think that might be the setup for? Will he need a setup? Danielson into the cover. Danielson, yes, he's done it. Bryan Danielson. That triangle choke ultimately did Jay White in. And what a disappointing performance for Jay White. If you're Bryan Danielson, you wanted the submission there. But I think for BD, I think he was more focused on getting the win. You don't want to be in there with Jay White any longer than you have to. You don't know what White's capable of, and I agree. Danielson made the right decision. So Australia will remain in first for now. Team USA remains in second for now. It all could change with our next matchup, Team UK versus Team Canada. But first, let's take you to the World Wrestling Studios with Brian Saxton and Wade Barrett. Byron, we could dance around the issue all we want to, but there's really only one story coming out of this matchup, and it's no Robbie Eagles. And after that performance from Jay White, absolutely pitiful from Team Australia's captain, I think more questions than ever are going to be asked. Why was Eagles not in there? Wade, I don't know what to tell you. My sources can confirm that, according to them, 99% it was not an injury to Robbie Eagles, and so that leaves very few options. And I can only believe that Jay White is somehow responsible, just like all of the speculation has been saying, and especially after that performance where Australia could have put this thing out of reach. They could have put Group A absolutely beyond everyone else. They couldn't do it, and I think not having Robbie Eagles, that's going to weigh a lot on people when they look at the future for Team Australia. And it absolutely should. Jay White is the captain. He needs to do what's best for the country of Australia for winning this World Cup. And right now, he is not. He lucked into a great lineup card last week. There's no chance that he knew how those matchups would work out. But now, he knew exactly what he was working with. He decides to put Bronson Reed back in against an underground wrestler and then takes Robbie Eagles out, replaces himself, and gets demolished by Bryan Danielson. This might be the worst personnel decisions, the worst captaining that I have ever seen in any sport. Byron, I was around for Manchester United in the Louis van Gaal era, so yes, I know what terrible captaining looks like. I know what terrible leadership looks like. That is exactly what we saw from Australia. This is going to be an issue. The same problems that came out of Team American Samoa with internal dissension, we may be seeing that very same thing from Australia if they can't figure out this thing with Jay White. Yeah, Wade, I absolutely agree with you there, but I just want to ask you one quick question. We're talking about Team UK versus Canada. Australia did leave the door open, now with 13 points. USA has 12, but lots of ground to make up for the United Kingdom and for Canada at 5 and 3 points respectively. What do you see out of this matchup? I gotta tell you what, a lot of people on the surface may question why Drew McIntyre and William Regal decided to take Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay out of the tag team match and replace it with two men who are inexperienced as far as tag teams go, especially recently. But I like it a lot, and it has everything to do with the matchups. Team UK gets to choose. They liked how Finn Balor and Kurt Andrews matched up against Edge and Christian. Those two very similar in construction to the mighty O'Neil, who beat Edge and Christian last week, which meant that they need someone to face Braddock. Well, Will Ospreay, much better suited for that. He can keep up with Braddock's pace. And obviously, you trust your team captain, Drew McIntyre, to go up against one of the best wrestlers in the history of the world in Kenny Omega. I like what Team UK did here. They can really beat Canada down, take them out of the running entirely, and now with Australia possibly looking a little bit fragile there up top, there's a lot of room here for Team United Kingdom. This is going to be a 3-horse race by the end of the night. We'll just see if Team UK is a part of it. Well, let's not keep you waiting any longer. We will still keep you updated on what we find out in the Jay White, Robbie Eagles saga, but for now, let's take you back to the World Wrestling Center. Let's take you back to the Bowl. Edge and Christian start things out for Canada against a brand new Team UK, Balor and Andrews. A bounce-back match if I have ever seen one. Edge and Christian Cage need this badly. Team Canada needs this badly. Team UK could have potentially dug themselves a massive hole by taking a huge risk on this tag team, not putting in a team that they know has a track record of success in ZSJ and Ospreay. This is a huge risk from Regal and McIntyre, but every other decision they've made in the past year and a half has been a good one, so why not this?
Show me the product, we could've did it. Everything all crazy and some get it. And I just wanna move on and not regret it. But the past is too dark, I just can't forget it. Securing the nails in the coffin. I don't get this feeling so often. You made me this well.
Certainly a muted reception here for Team UK, Kurt Andrews and Finn Balor, because I think a lot of people just don't really know what to make of this. This team, they have never competed together. They've never fought against each other. They've never been in the same promotion at the same time. I mean, this is bizarre seeing these two. But again, you're talking about one of the greatest minds in the history of wrestling in William Regal and possibly the world's greatest wrestler in Drew McIntyre. That's who made the decision. You got to trust him on this one. Here we go. Edge starts things off for Team Canada. It's Finn Balor in for Team UK, and a great start for Balor as we get things kicked off here in the Bowl. Australia now sitting with 13 points. The United States sitting with 12. So those two now have a huge lead up at the top of the standings of Group A. And they are threatening to put things out of reach here. Remember, you've got 5 points on the line for tag team wins, 3 points each for singles wins. Team UK's 5 points came courtesy of Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay defeating the Young Bucks last week. Team Australia has 13 points because of 2 tag team wins, and then of course the Robbie Eagles win from last time out against Kenny Omega. Team UK could very easily follow that same path, but they need a win here over one of the game's greatest ever teams. Balor going in to take the back, and Cage got the elbow up and took him down with the right hand. If you're Canada, you're in an even worse way. Your only points came last week courtesy of Braddock when he defeated Bronson Reed. So you're Canada at 3, you're 10 points back of Australia. Oh! Cage was going for a massive kick, and he ate a standing drop kick from Balor. Front face lock, Cage able to free himself and sends Balor back into the ring. Now, Balor, the Irishman, looking over towards Kurt Andrews, and Cage was there in time to stop that from happening. Now Cage, early on in this match, the kill switch from Christian Cage. The kill switch, Kurt Andrews there to break it up. Oh my goodness. Did Finn Balor have any idea that that kill switch was coming so early? But it gave him the requisite time he needed. Cage Off the takedown, Cage dives in, tags in, Edge. Body slam attempt, Balor goes right over the top of him. Cage back to his feet, and Balor sends Edge into the corner, and Balor just catching his breath after the kill switch. Thankfully, Kurt Andrews was there, and again, that's the sort of team chemistry that you just don't know if you're gonna get from a team like Balor and Andrews cobbled together like they are. Balor out of the way of that boot and a backdrop suplex to Edge. Balor will take in the first tag of the match, and it's to Andrews, and no surprise that this match looks the way it does. Very little team cohesion. It's two individuals, but Wade Barrett did make a point in terms of their style, in terms of their attack pattern, how they're gonna look to win. Andrews and Balor are very similar to the mighty Don't Kneel, who defeated Edge and Christian last week. Balor with the sling blade. And talk about team chemistry. I think that was a set play, so to speak. Finn Balor wanted Christian Cage to get into that ring to hit him with the sling blade, and it leaves Andrews alone with Edge. Off the ropes, Edge ducks underneath, Edge catches him up into the flapjack. But we're still looking at 2-on-1 here for Team UK. Cover, Balor is there. I think these guys have known that they're gonna be the team for the last probably week or so, which kind of calls into question whether or not it was a matchup thing. Or maybe every combination of guys works in the gym. I don't know, we'll have to ask William Regal about it. Wait a minute, Edge, execution. That DDT, and now he's got the cover. Where is Balor? Oh my goodness. Kurt Andrews kicked out. Finn Balor was late, and we're seeing a chink in the armor here for Team UK. Christian Cage going across the ring. Edge spear. Spear attempt countered by Andrews, who now goes after Christian Cage. What's going on? Kurt Andrews on Cage. Andrews, eye of the storm on Christian Cage. Why did he use it on Edge? Edge going after him. Andrews frees himself, now looking to get back into friendly territory. Edge able to free from that grip. Christian Cage is still down. Edge with a DDT. Andrews trying to crawl over to Balor. Edge won't let him. Andrews fights up off of his back. Now Edge with a snap power slam as Christian Cage finally gets to his feet. I can't believe the referee allowed him to stay in there. Questionable decision making from Kurt Andrews, but it certainly softens up Christian Cage. Maybe that's the strategy. Andrews again frees himself now, has Edge up on the shoulders. Edge caught with the GTS and into the German suplex. That's underground wrestling for you, folks. Not something that Edge, Christian, or Finn Balor would be familiar with at all, but Kurt Andrews, well, he's a master. Former three-time Apex champion, but he's taken down by the big boot from Edge. Balor trying to reach in and get the tag, couldn't reach his arm down. Instead, he'll just break up that pinfall attempt. Definitely an Edge and Christian advantage here in terms of offense. Kurt Andrews given the space. Andrews will tag in Balor. Edge liking what he's seeing right now, but he walks right into Finn Balor's 1916. Balor with the cover, and Christian Cage is there. Edge walked right into it. And now Balor going up top again. Coup de grace! Balor for the second time. Christian Cage. Oh my God, how necessary was that? Edge was done, and Balor just continues the offensive onslaught. That kick countered by Edge, and Edge needs to get out of this match. It's a spear! Edge out of nowhere, the spear. Kurt Andrews makes the save for the United Kingdom. Now Andrews going after Christian Cage. Edge going after Andrews, took him down from behind. The chop block on Kurt Andrews, and now Edge with the electric chair drop on Balor. But Edge has nowhere to go, no Christian Cage, who he desperately needs, because Balor in quick succession hit a 1916 and a coup de grace. Now Balor with a jawbreaker on Edge and takes him down with the right. If I'm Balor, I go for the cover. I think Edge is still reeling from both moves that Balor delivered. Instead, Balor will take him over all the way into the corner. Kurt Andrews is waiting. Tag in. We're going to see some double team offense here from Balor and Andrews. Off the ropes comes Edge. He's taken down. Now Balor, oh my goodness. Edge just tagged in Christian Cage. Cage caught with the stun dog millionaire from Andrews. What a play by Edge and Christian, but Kurt Andrews was one step ahead. Now Christian to his feet. Roundhouse kick ducked, and the answer to the right hook. Christian with the side headlock takeover. Edge watches on. Edge has taken unbelievable punishment in this match. Andrews trying to stretch out his neck, and Christian Cage will go back and get the tag in. Edge will re-enter the contest here, and it might have been the right decision. Edge with the execution again. And all the way back in his own corner, but he's not going to leave it there. Edge, we know what's coming. Edge, spear! The spear took him down. Finn Balor's got to be there, and he just sweeps past Christian Cage. The speed by Finn Balor. He broke that thing up. Now, Andrews rolls all the way to his feet. Andrews with a sling blade. Must have learned something from Finn Balor during training camp. Now, Andrews going low, and he's caught up high. A big right hand by Edge. That might have knocked Andrews loopy. He's in the corner. Edge beckons him in. Andrews just runs straight into the corner, and he's caught with that classic, wait a minute! Andrews with the double underhooks. Hang on a second. Eye of the storm. Kurt Andrews. How did he do that? Andrews hooks. No. Unreal. I thought Andrews had just turned this whole thing around. Edge rolls out. You talk about punishment. Edge has taken a 1916, a coup de grace, and an Eye of the Storm. Now Edge making his way to his feet. Balor coming from all the way around. Balor runs straight past him. Christian Cage was there. Balor throws on the brakes, and so Edge gets him up. Edge, the electric chair position, pitches him forward. What a job by Christian Cage. Prevents Balor from attacking Edge on the outside, and now Edge will go on top, but he's slow getting there. Finn Balor ducks underneath. Edge, I think, was going for a double axe handle, and Balor again. Balor, 1916. What a job by Finn Balor. Cover. Christian Cage is there once again. How many times have we seen this match nearly end? Balor caught by a right hand. And now Balor reaches up, tag in. Here comes Andrews. Edge didn't realize it, and Andrews drop kick caught him right in the head. Edge has got to check his orbital bone. He's got to check his nose. The blood's coming down already. That might have broken his nose right on contact. Kurt Andrews. Unbelievable here from Team UK. Andrews with a running drop kick. Shotguns Edge right in the chest. Christian Cage is there once again. Edge rolls to his feet. Wild right hand catches Andrews, and so does that headbutt. And now Edge in the corner. Andrews to his feet, just barely spear. Edge has finally done it for Team Canada. Cover. Edge finally gets the win. What a war. Team Canada finally gets their win. Edge and Christian. And listen, you can play Monday morning quarterback for Team UK. You can say that you can maybe say that this wasn't the right decision. Maybe ZSJ and Ospreay would have been better. You can say that all you want, but boy, did Finn Balor and Kurt Andrews leave it all out there. Edge and Christian were just better today. What a match. And Team Canada desperately needed that 5 points. They get it. Team UK now in dire straits. Let's take you back to the Eagles' nest. Will Ospreay and Braddock throw down. This is where Team UK has to make up some room. They've got to make it up here because they are in danger of being left way in the dust. Canada now with 8 points, 2 matches to go. Canada actually does have the opportunity. They have the potential to end in first if they win both of these remaining matches. So all to play for Canada, all to play for the UK. About Lars Nightfall's interesting story, interesting road to Team Japan last time out when Japan faced China. But how about Braddock's interesting road to Team Canada? Braddock was born in the United States. His mother is of Canadian descent, and so when Braddock was training in wrestling, he actually went up north, trained in Canada at the request of none other than Edge, who he met very early in his career. Edge told him to go up to Canada to train. Braddock obliged, and not only did Braddock repay Edge by becoming one of the great underground wrestlers in the world, Braddock now has a whole tree of students that learned underneath him using those techniques that he learned in Canada. Braddock is American, but his wrestling is Canadian, and that's why he's here. Although I should say his wrestling really is underground, and that's what makes this matchup so compelling. Because Will Ospreay, one of the most dynamic, high-flying, and exciting wrestlers that the world has ever seen. If there is anyone who would have been a great underground wrestler, it would have been Will Ospreay. He still has that chance, by the way. We'll see. Ospreay still in GAW, and Ospreay came up just short in a quad title match against his now teammate Drew McIntyre, and he said after that he changed his entire focus to the Wrestling World Cup. This is where it will be borne out for Ospreay. He helped Team UK to 5 points last time out when they defeated the Young Bucks when they fought the United States. Now Ospreay has to go in and get at least 3 points against Braddock. Braddock with the ground and pound. Now getting Ospreay up on his feet. Braddock going strike heavy here against Ospreay, something he did not do against Bronson Reed. I think that's why Canada was so happy to have Braddock on their side. But that kick attempt caught by Ospreay, who then catches him with a low drop kick. Talk about the dynamics of this match. Ospreay with a spectacular moonsault. Team Canada loved to have Braddock here, specifically because he can fight so many different styles. It doesn't matter who you match up with him. He is going to be a dangerous opponent. I think that's why William Regal and Drew McIntyre liked Will Ospreay in this scenario, because he's so different than Bronson Reed that even though Braddock can deal with him, I think they're hoping that it's just a shock to the system. Ospreay over the top into the code red. And Ospreay to the top rope. Ospreay shooting star press. Absolutely gorgeous shooting star press from Will Ospreay. Now Braddock to his feet, and Ospreay gonna run. Ospreay, cutter! Look at all the space. Braddock got his foot on the rope, but Ospreay pulled it away. No! That was a vicious Os cutter. And how that didn't get the job done, I have no idea. But Braddock with a kick into the straitjacket German. Ospreay straight back to his feet, but he's caught by a huge drop kick by Braddock. Now Braddock goes for the cover. Braddock, no. Wow, I don't know how Braddock survived that Os cutter. I don't know how his neck is still okay after that one. Goes in for the takedown. Ospreay able to stop him, but Braddock turns aside that drop kick. Now Braddock on the bottom rope into the poison Rana. Business has picked up here at the Eagles Nest, and Team UK may be watching their World Cup dreams slip away if Ospreay can't get a result here. Folks, I'm just hearing breaking news. We will have Robbie Eagles live from the World Wrestling Center, live from Australia's camp here at the WWC. Byron Saxton will have the interview coming up next. Ospreay, springboard into the Hurricane Rana. I cannot wait to hear from Robbie Eagles. Ospreay takes him down on the right. There's another one. Braddock straight to his feet. His kick caught by Ospreay. Back heel trip. Caught him right in the back of the knee. Beautiful job from the aerial assassin. And Ospreay in the corner. Braddock again to his feet. Ospreay gonna go on the run. Ospreay, Os cutter again. My God, he takes a long run up for that. Can Braddock survive a second one? Ospreay has done it. Ospreay makes good for Team UK and gets them 3 points. What a performance, what a needed performance from Will Ospreay, just when his team needed it most. Will Ospreay stepped up. 2 Os cutters delivered to an underground legend. Ospreay with 3 points for Team United Kingdom, which means UK and Canada, they're level at 8 points going into the final match. It's captain versus captain. It's Omega versus McIntyre. But first, the thing we've all been waiting for. Robbie Eagles is live with Byron Saxton. Robbie, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I know this is just a tumultuous time for you, so I just appreciate it so much that you're willing to come in and talk to us. Byron, it's my pleasure. Okay, I don't know how best to preface this, so I'll just say it. Why were you not competing for Team Australia today? Byron, to be very honest with you, I've gone back and forth about whether I want to air the dirty laundry, so to speak. And ultimately, what I want to do is win the Wrestling World Cup for Team Canada. And I believe that not everyone on our team has that same sort of mindset. And I've been trying not to say it. I think all of us have been trying not to say it. If I believed that I was not the right man to go in today, then I absolutely would have taken a step back and let someone else do it. But the truth is, I believe that I had something to contribute to my team today, and Jay White did not allow me to do it. I don't believe that Jay White has Team Australia's best interests at heart. So, Robbie, you're confirming for us right now that you are not injured. This was a decision made by Jay White. Yes, Byron, that's exactly what happened. I passed my post-match physical last week. I passed my pre-match physical coming back from Japan this week. I was ready to go. Physically, I was healthy. I was feeling great. Jay White came to me this morning. He said, you're not on the lineup card, which he did not let us see. And I go social media blackout 48 hours before these matches, so I had not seen anything about who the lineups were going to be. Jay White came to me this morning and told me that it wasn't going to be me. But as soon as I did find out what the lineup card was, I had some questions, and they were not answered by watching the boys here earlier tonight, unfortunately. So, Robbie, I mean, you saw what happened. Bronson Reed loses to Braddock. Bronson Reed lost to Braddock last week. Now tonight he goes in, loses to Lancelot, and then Jay White, of course, lost to Bryan Danielson. So you right now are the only man on Team Australia with a singles win. TMDK, fortunately for you guys, is really picking up the slack. But, I mean, you only have one match left, and it is tight at the top of Group A right now. What is the strategy? What are you going to do going into your last match? You have to fight Team UK, who could be fighting for their lives. Honestly, I don't really know what the strategy is going to be. I know that what we did today is not acceptable. It has to change. And no disrespect to Bronson Reed. He is one of the best wrestlers in the world, but he doesn't match up well with these underground wrestlers. He shouldn't have been in there with Lancelot. We had the ability to pick opponents. We could have put him in there against someone else. We could have put him in there against Bryan Danielson. He would be ready for that. He'd be able to do that. Unfortunately, Lancelot's just not a good matchup for him. That was not a great decision, and I'll say it right now. And then as for Jay White's performance, I think all of us were hoping for better, is how I'm going to leave it as far as that goes against Bryan Danielson. So, listen, Shane and Nick, they have been unbelievable. They're the best tag team in the world right now, and you can't convince me otherwise after what they've been doing. But they can't do it all for us. Someone has to pick up the slack, especially if we're going to make it to the semifinals. It's got to be one of us. And again, Byron, I just don't think that Jay White is the guy. I don't think that he has our best interests at heart. He's not from Australia. He got in here just to clout chase, in my opinion, and this is what we're seeing from him, that he puts himself in a match that he wasn't ready for against Bryan Danielson, and we have to pay the consequences now. So we've got 10 days to prepare for our next match, and Byron, something has to change. We have to do something different because UK's, they're going to be out. They're going to be out for blood against us, and they should be. And Byron, we have to do something. And so I'm going to call Bronson. I'm going to call Shane and Nick, and I'm going to call the Federation. And we have to have a talk with Jay White. We have to figure something out. This is just not working for us. Robbie, thank you again so much. Good luck going forward. Again, the story of the night, Robbie Eagles did not participate, and we can confirm it was a decision from Jay White, not due to an injury, that kept Robbie Eagles out of tonight's competition against the United States. Robbie, thank you once again. Byron, it's my pleasure. I want everyone to look around. Take a look at the standings. Take a look at who we're fighting. Canada, they're old. The UK, they're all over the place. In Australia, they might not even have a captain after tonight. This is our group. Now, I know, Bucks, you haven't had the kind of tournament that you would have wanted, but you can change it. Every night is a new night. Every match is a new match, and it doesn't matter what you did in your last two. All that matters is you're going to get Edge and Christian next time. If you beat them, we're in. It doesn't matter what happened before. All that matters is we know that we are the best team in the world. We know that we're better than Australia. We know that we're better than anyone. It's time for us to go show it. We've got 10 days, gentlemen. 10 days to prepare. 10 days for you to train harder than you've ever trained before. I want your focus to be here. I want your focus to be on the World Cup. I want your focus to be on the bowl 1 month from now when we will be holding the World Cup. The U.S. is the reason professional wrestling exists today. The United States is the reason professional wrestling is where it is today. We are representing the United States. We are representing professional wrestling. So let's fucking represent.
So say goodbye.
McIntyre is coming out with the GAW World title and the WXW Unified title. The two belts that most represent what Drew McIntyre is about. But folks, I don't know what's more impressive than what we just saw. Bryan Danielson's speech to Team USA before their final match, or Robbie Eagles just coming out and saying Jay White is sabotaging Team Australia. I'm glad someone said it. Someone had to. And Robbie Eagles, call him Captain Australia because he is becoming the guy. Between the biggest win for them, a win that is crucial, by the way, as Australia hasn't won a singles match other than his. And it's keeping Australia in first right now. For Kenny Omega, but this is not a pleasant memory that Omega has of this place. Last time out, he was upset by Robbie Eagles, and I'm sorry to Kenny that we have to keep bringing it up, but it's the biggest upset in World Cup history. Obviously, it's a short history, but it's one of the biggest upsets that I can remember in the sport of professional wrestling. But all that goes away. We heard Bryan Danielson talking to Team USA in the locker room. He said that everything you did before now goes away in the moment. So Omega's loss to Eagles goes away. Because right now, Kenny Omega has the chance to defeat Team UK and send Canada in the third with 11 points within easy striking distance of Australia and the United States. Look at the focus on Drew McIntyre. William Regal's with him. Here we go. Glasgow kiss attempt. Immediately countered by Omega. Folks, I think that we are going to see the most hellacious, the fastest, the most vicious match that we've seen yet in this Wrestling World Cup. These are two men that know each other. These are two men that know each other's styles. These are two GAW legends. What we're looking at is two of the four men to hold the GAW Triple Crown. So you're looking at two absolute legends of the game in general admission wrestling. One is a quad champion, Kenny Omega, known colloquially as the Belt Collector. But that standing moonsault attempt misses. McIntyre rolls to his feet. McIntyre with the neck breaker. I think we've got a pro-Canada crowd here in Orlando. McIntyre gets him in. McIntyre power bomb and caught Omega on the apron. Crowd definitely behind Kenny Omega here. Wow, what a match. For it all, great leg pick by Omega, turns him around, and Omega has him in the ankle lock. It's so rare to see it, but Omega, that would have been 5 points. Had he tapped out McIntyre right there, instead McIntyre unleashes a massive triumvirate of rights into the corner of McIntyre. Gets him up, Omega tried to flip over, and McIntyre basically claymored him in the stomach. Cover, Omega kicked out at 1. McIntyre did the job. Now McIntyre punts him right in the temple. And he's not letting up. I told you this is going to be the fastest paced match that we've seen. McIntyre knows it's at stake, and McIntyre drops the single chop. William Regal watches on, steady as always. He has presided over an absolute transformation for Drew McIntyre, going from middling at best in GAW to very possibly the best wrestler in the world. Kenny Omega would have something to say about that, though. Kenny's got him up, ripcords him into the knee strike. McIntyre hits the deck, and Omega continues the attack. The difference between going into the final day with 8 points versus 11, that's the difference between 13 That's the difference between 2 and 5. That's what we're talking about right now. If you have to flag down the United States, if you come in with 11 points, you are 1 point away. If you come in with 8, you're 4. I know, that's math that I struggle to do, but I figured it out. Omega, poison Rana. McIntyre threw on the brakes, and Omega throws him to the deck. Now, Omega, can he actually do this? Can he lift McIntyre? He does! Tiger Driver! Kenny Omega! I can't believe he lifted McIntyre like that, and Kenny Omega has taken over. For McIntyre, this would be his first loss in 8 months. It was his first loss when he went down at the hands of Bryan Danielson. Now he's looking at 2 in the space of 10 days. Omega, oh my God, he almost flew out of the ring. McIntyre, neck breaker. Omega was going for that hip attack in the corner. Now McIntyre, spear attempt. Omega just slapped him right in the mouth. He goes back in. McIntyre was there waiting for it. McIntyre transitions him beautifully into the vertical suplex position. Stolen, dropping. McIntyre with the unbelievable strength. Drew McIntyre knows how badly he needs this bounce back. And we also know what could be waiting for Kenny Omega. Could 4 points be on the docket for Team UK? Glasgow Kiss! Will it be or will it be free? McIntyre cover! No! Omega. He knew how close that was. And now McIntyre. Oh, Omega rolled to his feet. He needed to. McIntyre into the corner. Cutter attempt, counter. Kenny Omega takes him by the back. Omega half and half suplex. Anytime Omega has your back like that, you're concerned about the one-winged angel. Now the half and half suplex. God, you feel the energy in this building. Irish whip, Omega gets him into the corner. Omega trying to go in, and McIntyre with a hard elbow in the jaw. Omega backs him up, but he eats a boot from McIntyre, just clubs him. McIntyre out of the corner. Wait a minute, McIntyre, Claymore. He counted it down. Drew McIntyre, cover. McIntyre, no. I can't believe it. He counted it down. Knife edge chop countered Omega. Back in, and Omega over the top. Couture crusher. What a counter from Kenny Omega into the cover. Omega hooks the leg. No. What a match we have ourselves in the main event. Look at this strength. Dr. Bomb. McIntyre still on the deck, and Omega still going after those legs. Could Kenny Omega be thinking? Capturing 4 points, moving into a tie with Team USA. Omega with the drop kick. Sent McIntyre off the apron. Remember, it's 1 point for a double countout. A double countout. I mean, you're looking at, you could end possibly both of these teams right here. McIntyre with the Falcon Arrow. Omega backs him up with that back elbow to the stomach, but McIntyre just drops him on the apron. Referees count at 6, and the crowd has become deafening here in the bowl. McIntyre will send Omega back in. You know that both these men want 3 points. They want 4 points. McIntyre's no true Scotsman is still available. But he takes Omega down, and McIntyre will go into the ground and pound. Omega got the guard up well enough, was able to defend himself. Great job from Kenny Omega. Now rolls to his feet, but rolled right into a clubbing blow by Drew McIntyre. Now the ground and pound, and no guard for Kenny Omega. And McIntyre knew it. Up to his feet goes Omega. McIntyre pops him up into the powerbomb right in front of William Regal, one of the of modern British wrestling. Omega using the ropes to hoist himself up. McIntyre whips him off. Omega so quick on his recovery speed. McIntyre couldn't use the Claymore, and he's caught in the Frankensteiner by Omega. And now, Kenny Omega. We know Omega V-Trigger. Kenny Omega right in the middle of the ring. 3 points on the line. He's done it. Kenny Omega just beat Drew McIntyre. This is unbelievable. Team Canada. They were in last place at the start of the day. And now with 8 points in the bag, they are 1 point away from Team USA. What a day. This World Cup is madness. And it's only halfway done. Not even. Folks, Group B still has their entire second round to get you, but we leave you with the final standings from the second round of Group A. Australia in front with 13. USA hot on their tail with 12. Canada coming in hot on USA with 11. And Team UK in last, but a manageable last with 8. Folks, things are going to get wild in the World Cup, so if you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing. We have so much more action to come. We'll see you on Friday for Storm. We appreciate you.